She's gonna miss June 28th, which is a work session. And if July 5th could be canceled, she's on that list.
The thing is those are the 2 weeks of the dead period, which I'm sure is why she.
Oh, yeah, you'll be gone too, so perfect. Okay, we could cancel both of them if you want to. Very- Let me do something with this.
Just sit on Kelly's desk if you want to.
All right, thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, we will call this meeting to order. And I believe the committee interest forms have already been passed out to everyone. They should be at your tables. Those are just to make sure that we have a sort of a running list of the preference for the various committees that will be assembling and moving forward with over the course of these next 7 months. So please list your preferences there. I think Blake Christopher is here. I think we'll at some point grab that from you. And those that are attending by Zoom, I think we'll ask you to submit your preferences and comments or to email an office staff member and Blake Christopher for that. And those committees, just for a point of reference, are going to be the procuring committee, which will examine the fact gathering process of search warrants. The reviewing committee will examine the prosecutorial and judicial review of search warrants. And then the serving committee will examine appropriate actions before and during the service of a search warrant. So just as a preliminary matter, wanted to share that with you all. At this moment, we're going to do a roll call. So I will read the list of names here. Miss Denise Bentley.
Present.
Lieutenant Brian Bogart. Yes, sir. Commissioner Burnett.
Yes.
I've got Colonel here, so I want to put this here. Judge Cutoff. Here, yes, sir. Judge Cunningham. Present. Mayor Gregory.
I'm here.
All right, sir. Commissioner Gillett. Here, sir. All right. Representative Massey. You might be on mute. I'll skip Representative Massey and Mr. McGee.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Sir, good afternoon. Chief Monroe.
Need to remind members that we.
Okay. If you don't mind, could you unmute yourself if you're visiting or joining us virtually? Chief Monroe.
He's trying to speak with us.
We'll connect with him to see if we can get his audio.
Nicholson.
Present.
Mr. Preston. Yep. Mr. Joe Ross. Present. Mr. Sanders. Sheriff Schroer. Yes. Detective Thomas. Mr. Westerfield.
Here.
Dr. Wright.
Here.
All right, I'm going to go back to Representative Massey. I'm not entirely sure. Is he joining us yet?
He's joining us by phone, so that may be the issue.
Okay. Is he able to register that he's here?
This is Ed Massey. I am present, but I'm going to stay on mute since I'm out of town.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. I think we were waiting on Chief Monroe just to get a.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Well, again, appreciate you all taking time out of what are really busy schedules to be here and participate in the search warrant task force. It is very clear to all of you all that are in this room just how important this responsibility is. And again, it's you all already serve immensely important roles, and I'm grateful that you've taken some time to be here. Also know that we have some folks from the public here as well, and perhaps watching on Zoom, and want to welcome you all into this conversation as well. I will note that the public participation policy is posted on our website, and per that policy, up to 5 members of the public will be given 3 minutes for comments at each meeting, providing they email our office 24 hours in advance of the meeting. Interesting, we did not receive any emails requesting a chance to speak at this meeting. So if you'd like to speak during the public comment portion, which will come at the end of our meeting today, please see the sign-in sheet at the front of the room. And members of the public may also submit written comments to search warrant TF at ky.gov. I'll say that again, search warrant TF, all one word, at ky.gov. Again, thank you guys for serving and being responsive to our emails over the last few days. And if you haven't already done so, I know we've gotten a little running list of meetings that we're going to have here in the upcoming months ahead. So if you can find, if you haven't already submitted those or haven't already given those to Blake or Elizabeth or Barry, please make sure that you do so before the end of this meeting. And for those that are seeking mileage reimbursements, you can please see our office staff as well on that front. Many of you all have already probably gotten coffee or water. Some of you all I know have had access to the restrooms already. And if you have any questions during the day, you see we've got a team of our staff here. And I'll just make sure I introduce everybody. John Hughes, who's with our office. Blake Christopher, who we've already mentioned. A lot of you all know Barry Dunn, who's our Deputy Attorney General. Vic Maddox, who is our Assistant Deputy Attorney General, I think is the right terminology now. And then Elizabeth Coon, who is our comms director. If I missed anybody, Andrew King and Joseph Bonds are helping assist from a communications and virtual standpoint. But again, point down any of us if you've got any questions. Also want you to note that Commissioner Walt from the Department of Criminal Investigation is here with us as well. So appreciate you, Commissioner, for being here too. Thousands of search warrants are served in Kentucky each year. The process touches the lives of many folks. The members of this task force represent every aspect of the search warrant process. Each member will bring his or her own opinions, experiences, and ideas to bear as part of this conversation. Per our office's executive order, which I think most of you all have in front of you or at least had an opportunity to see, the duties of this task force, among other things, are to examine in detail the processes for securing, reviewing, and serving search warrants within the Commonwealth, to examine training needs for those involved in securing, reviewing, and serving search warrants within the Commonwealth, and provide public input on matters relating to search warrants. I think that the fulfillment of those duties must be driven by the people that are in this room collectively. Ownership is certainly with us. So we will count on the members and committees of this task force to eagerly fulfill these duties and drive our schedule accordingly over this 7-month period. The expectation is that the task force will complete its work by the end of this year. Again, that gives us roughly 7 months to do our work. We chose to hold the first meeting following the legislative session because the General Assembly, as Representative Massey and Chairman Westerfield can attest to, we're doing some work on research warrants during the session as well. Given that the law of search warrants was likely to change, the decision was made that the task force would not convene until the conclusion of the session, so that the group could review all current law regarding the search warrant process. But we have quite a team assembled here, and I know that we will work very well together over the course of these next 7 months. And I know Kentuckians are anticipating and accepting that we hold our responsibility to work diligently on this important, very important issue. And as I've said repeatedly, I think it's important for the AG's office and civic leaders all across Kentucky to be engaged periodically in a conversation about different elements of our law enforcement process, and we are now in the midst of conducting that review as it relates to search warrants. So thank you all immensely for putting on to our faith in this responsibility. At this moment, and I'll start with Rob Sanders to my left, and I'll ask everybody just to go around. Part of this meeting is just introductory, making sure everybody is comfortable and knows everyone that's at the table or visiting with the person. So start with Rob Sanders.
I'm Rob Sanders. I'm the Commonwealth's attorney for the 16th Judicial Circuit, which is Kenton County. I've been serving in that capacity since January 2007, and look forward to working.
And if I can make a note, if you wouldn't mind sharing what would you like to accomplish with this task force?
I'm always looking for ways that any process, not just the search warrant process, but anything that we do, whether it be in Commonwealth attorney offices or in law enforcement, can be improved. I think we do things exceptionally well in the 16th Circuit, but always looking for ideas on how we can get better. And I think my main interest, in addition to looking for ways to improve our current system, my main issue of being on this task force is making sure that we pay close attention to all the different ways things are done. We have 57 different judicial circuits in Kentucky. From what I've read in the media about how the search warrant process works, in some could use a lot more improvement than others. And I want to make sure that in the process of fixing one circuit, we don't manage to break another circuit by imposing structure that is it doesn't work. Because the 57 different circuits are obviously very, very different from the needs and resources that they have in a small rural one county circuit like Letcher County to what goes on in Jefferson County, two very different geographies, two very different communities, and we have everything in between, including some circuits where they have 4 different counties in the same circuit. So while I want to improve the system, I want to make sure that we're doing good work for my circuit and 56 other circuits and circuits.
Schroer Cunningham, I'm here on 2 representatives designated by the Chief Justice John. He picked me, I think, because I'm happens right now to be the president of the Civil Judges Association. I serve in the 4th Division, the 30th Circuit of Jefferson County. I'm here because John asked me to be, but suffice it to say, people in my community have a great deal of interest in how search warrants work. Normally, judges are not in a position to influence the law. We basically just follow what we're told. This is an interesting opportunity as a judge to have some impact on how things are done. I actually read recently the law professor probably was nuts that the city judge should be doing this. So, call me nuts.
Brian Bogart, I am a lieutenant with the Covington Police Department. I am also the treasurer for the State Fraternal Order of Police, in which I'm representing the State Fraternal Order of Police. I think that Commonwealth Attorney Sanders said it best. We're here to represent the entire state. There's communities that have a lot of people in them. There are communities that have small. Each law enforcement agency is different, and we have to look at each law enforcement agency and try to get the best practices that we can that's going to serve everyone throughout the Commonwealth.
Liz Thomas, I'm a detective for the Narcotics Enforcement Unit in Lexington. I'm here representing the Narcotics Officers Association. Search warrants in general are something I'm very comfortable and familiar with. Looking at, I work in reviewing them at the least weekly. I'll say more often on a daily basis. I'm very fortunate because Lexington Police Department, I believe, is already using what I would consider to be best practices when it comes to search warrants. So I'm hoping to be able to share on those practices, share on my experiences, training, and learn from all of you.
Joe Ross, Logan County Attorney. I've been in that office since 2010. Before that, I was the Assistant Commonwealth Attorney dating back to 2007. And in that time, I've been Logan County primary go-to for search warrants at all hours of the day and night. I think we've got a good experience for a variety of issues. I think similar to what Rob is saying, he used the state in 57 circuits. I see it in 120 different counties because what I found in my time as county attorney is there's 120 of us, and it's about 120 different ways to do it. I've kind of headed up our CLE, our County Attorneys Association meeting, and probably one of the best and most talked about approaches we took was kind of an open forum. I took a panel and I opened it up to talk to everybody. What I found was we hear what others do, it makes us think and improve on what we do. So even if we don't agree with what somebody thinks, 100% they'll always make you think and they'll always make you better. So I think it's we can do that for search warrants across the board.
I'm Colonel Philip Burnett, Commissioner of Cleveland State Police. And I resonate where everyone else has been saying that where our troopers work in all 120 counties, we would like to see standardization. That would really help us and it would help Commonwealth reputation. And as well as we'll ensure the safety of our citizens as well as our officers on conducting. We'd like to use some technology and things that we have today that maybe we've not been forward upon in years past. And I think maybe we can make that better for everyone.
I'm Judge Foster Cutoff. I'm a district judge in Christian County, which is 3 judicial districts. I am, like Judge Cunningham, the president of my Judges Association, and I believe that's why I'm here as one of the chief Nichols, 2 representatives from the Court of Justice. Like the Commissioner, I would like to see some advances in technology. We do warrants for various things, EPOs and arrest warrants. It would be nice to get search warrants on that platform. That would be uniform across the state. That would be wonderful. I would also just like to educate the public a little bit more on the process from the beginning to the end. We all are part of this and we know what's going on. We'd like to think we know what's going on. Not everybody does. So people read their minds, they think they understand situations, but the search warrant process is very important. I'll speak on behalf of my 150 district judges. We sign in at all hours of the day and night. We're the judges on call in most counties, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we deal with county attorneys and law enforcement when it comes to the search warrant process. So they're very involved. And just anything we can do to help. Afternoon, David Nicholson. I'm Jefferson County Circuit Court Clerk. Honored to serve since 2007. And I'm representing the Kentucky Association of Counties. As a past president of that organization, representing over 1,500 county elected officials. Much like what was just said, I was instrumental in the e-warrants and saw the success in addressing backlog of unserved warrants. Feel very strongly at our local judges asking for e-search warrants for a variety of reasons. One of the main aspects too is education of our citizens, particularly when it comes to sealed search warrants. There's a real disconnect from a warrant being sealed than what happens in the aftermath. Look forward to serving each other to the difference for talking about.
My name is Damon Preston. I'm the public advocate for Kentucky. Been a public defender for 27 years. I've practiced in Central Kentucky and Indiana and Richmond and far western Kentucky, Paducah. Also worked on the appellate level multiple times. What I hope comes out of this is a complete examination of the search warrant process we talked about. I will say I feel a large weight on my position on this because as I see multiple prosecutors and multiple police officers, I'm the only criminal defense lawyer here. The NAACP has named Mr. McGee, and I look forward to working with Mr. McGee. As far as the slot, we have circuit and district defense attorneys, but there are circuit and district prosecutors here, and only one defense attorney on those levels, private and public. There's a private attorney other than McGee. And so I say that not as a criticism, but as I feel a lot of weight that I'm carrying. Yet another voice that I don't believe is represented on the task force that I believe I will need to speak up for as well as Mr. McGee are the voice of those who are searched. There's a lot of people here that are doing searches. My home has never been searched. If anyone else's has been, I hope you'll add that to the conversation. But I look forward to trying to bring the voice of the people that are being searched because that's an important part of this. As to not just the technical parts of how you get it, but what is the real life impact of a search warrant being. Final thing I'd say that I hope to get out of this is information on what we're talking about. General Cameron, first thing he said, first word he said, I wrote down was thousands of search warrants. That's undoubtedly true, but how many? We have no way of knowing, as far as I know. If that comes out that we can precisely say how many search warrants were executed, how many were sought, how many were approved, how many were denied. If that data exists, I'd like to know it, but I suspect it doesn't exist because a lot of this happens at Foster's door on his phone in 2 a.m. and the data collection, I believe, is not that great. I hope that we can create a foundation for accessing data moving forward so that as we study this, we can get more.
My name is Nichols. I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Criminal Justice Training. My department is responsible for delivering all the training for about 430 agencies across Kentucky. We're one of 5 academies in the state now, but we're the one that services everybody who doesn't have that academy. So, whatever comes out of this, if there are any changes, a lot of that will be applied through and communicated down the ranks through the departments, through the agencies, through my department. But I'm also interested to see what we do train and how that meshes into what is happening, and it will kind of give me an assessment of where we are currently with our training and where we need to be. I've been in law enforcement since 2002. I'm very proud of our Constitution and really search warrants and the way we do those. That is our Fourth Amendment manifest in practice. Is where that document meets reality. So it's important that we do what we do is right. I'm very happy that we get a chance because I also have friends and some of the relationships that I've developed over the years with the heads of agencies and with officers and detectives across the state. I'm very well aware, as I'm sure as Commissioner Burnett and others that have experience across different jurisdictions, the way that each of the 3 parts that General Cameron has broken this down into, the way that they happen in real life is very different as they go from one part of the state to the next. So I think that it's for us to learn, to capture that, to figure out what information we need to capture moving forward, help us kind of maintain that. Very important, but also I think Robert mentioned about public education. I think a lot of misconceptions in the public about the ins and outs of search warrants, the responsibilities of those involved, from the investigator to the judge, and then finally to the officers that execute the search warrant. So I think it'll be a good experience.
Good afternoon. I'm Denise Bentley. I'm from Louisville. Used to serve on the Metro Council there, worked for the governor, a couple of governors ago. Appreciate this opportunity. Thank you, General Cameron, for inviting me to be a part of this task force. There's a lot of things that swirl in my head. I probably am in a unique position, I think, that I'm the only one that does not have a law enforcement or law background. But I'm connected to the community. And Jefferson County, of course, has been in the news here recently on many fronts. I think we need to go into this process understanding that there's not a one size that fits all. There's either first class, second class, third class, where there are so many different variables that we know one size can't fit all. But I've heard from the community. Our community has been in the news for the last year and a half. I think once again, and it's been repeated, that there is a public education campaign that needs to happen. So many people expect the outcome to be like an episode of Law and Order or Chicago PD, and we know that that's not how it happens, and we know it doesn't happen in a 1 hour window. I am very much interested in the securing of the search warrant process. I think that reviewing is something that law backgrounds and prosecutors need to get at the table. I'm not trying to tell you how to do your committees, but I'm just saying. And then serving, I think, comes from a more police aspect. But I think being non-law, I would like to have input. I think we do need to bring the Commonwealth to 2021. And that's tracking and implementing systems where things cannot go wrong and people can be held accountable along the way. So again, thank you.
I'm Sheriff Walt, Schroer, representing Foley County, Kentucky. I'm here representing the Kentucky Sheriff's Association. My background is that from 1983 until 1988, 89, I served as a public defender and criminal defense lawyer. In 1989, I ran for the office of Foley County Attorney and served as the Foley County Attorney from 1990 until 2010. In 2011, I went to work for the Jefferson County Attorney's Office, working as a prosecutor and then as a special counsel up until December of 2018, and then was elected in 2018 to the office of Foley County Sheriff, and have been serving since January of 2019. I have prepared many search warrants, too many to count. I have reviewed many more than that. I have executed and served numerous search warrants. So that's sort of what I bring to the table in regard to that. I believe that the task before us, as this group goes forward, is first to do absolute honor to the United States Constitution and the Constitution of the state of Kentucky. Next, we have to look towards the safety of the public, including the public that is the recipient of a search warrant intrusion into their home or their business or anything of that nature. Then we also need to see to the absolute safety as far as we can go of the law enforcement officers that are executing same, all the while recognizing that we have first and foremost to uphold the tenets of the Constitution. And I think looking at it from top to bottom is the only thing that we can do, only thing that we should do, and look to see where we can improve and improve that, look to see what's working well and keep that as it is. And as several of the other folks have said, we've got 120 counties and we have close to some between 550 and 600 law enforcement agencies across the Commonwealth. And many of them are, 1 to 5 officers. So we have to bear that in mind as we go forward with making the various changes that we are looking at conducting. Thank you.
At this point, I'm going to have, I think, Chief Monroe, if he's able, introduce himself and share his priorities for this task force.
Thank you, sir. Yes, I'm Joe Monroe. I'm the Chief of Police at the University of Kentucky. Been there almost 30 years as the chief for the last 15. And I am also representing the Kentucky Association of Chiefs of Police as their president. And some of the things that we are looking forward to is developing a best practice model for the state that's fair, safe, and acceptable to everyone. And we have to do that as well as taking a closer review of those search warrants when they're presented. And that's what we hope to get out of this, General.
So, Mr. McGee, if you're able, could you please go next, sir? Mr. McGee? Mr. McGee, you might be on mute. I'm not sure.
He's dropped off.
Oh, he's dropped off.
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Wright? You might be on mute, sir. I see you, Mike. Yes, sir.
My name is George Wright. I currently serve in the position as Senior Advisor to the President at the University of Kentucky, and I'm also have the title of Distinguished University Research Professor. Over a 40-year career, I've been a professor and administrator at various levels at a number of different universities. Early in my career, I wrote 3 books on race relations in the state of Kentucky. So I have a historical perspective on race in the state of Kentucky. Every time I've ever been asked to serve on a committee and they mentioned the kind of expertise they thought I would bring to it, it's been clear that I've probably learned more about than contributed. And I have no doubt that this will be the case as well. So I look forward to being a part of this committee, and hopefully I can make some kind of positive contribution. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Wright, if I might just say, I think you sell yourself a little short. We're honored to have you. I know that you're going to be a great contributor to this task force. So I know everybody in this room is really excited to have you participate in just the institutional knowledge that you bring to this endeavor. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I see Mayor Gregory, and his face just popped up on the screen, so we'll go with him next.
Thank you, General Cameron. I appreciate the opportunity and commend you for putting such a distinguished group together. My name is Jeff Gregory. I'm the mayor of Elizabethtown. I've been in office since January of 2019. I'm the representative of the Kentucky League of Cities. Before that, in my prior professional life, I'm a retired Kentucky State Trooper. I had 22 years in law enforcement, much of that as a narcotics detective and deadly theft, and also as a general investigations detective. And I even worked on what they called a partial interdiction task force in Louisville as the Kentucky State Police representative with Louisville Metro and Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. So I've had the opportunity to serve lots of search warrants, not only in Louisville and Hardin County in the Post 4 district, but all over the western part of the state. And I'd echo the sentiments of just about everybody said in the room. One of the things that I would love to see is some uniformity in the search warrant process, from the officers all the way to the judge signing it and then executing the warrants in all 120 counties of the state. Commissioner Burnett can tell you, because I'm sure he's worked in multiple counties across the state of Kentucky, and the requirements aren't always the same. The way that they're executed aren't always the same. And I think it would be good if we could get some uniformity in those different ways. Also, I think it's important that we have an educational component as well, and we educate the civilian population on the processes so they understand how things are to be performed. But like I said, lots of great ideas already in the room, a great distinguished group, and I'm just proud to be a part of it, and I appreciate the opportunity.
I'm going to try Mr. McGee one more check time here. I don't know if he's dropped off still.
Yes, I'm here, and thank you for rejoining me. I appreciate that.
Of course, of course.
Well, as an initial matter, one, I wanted to thank everybody for being part of this process. I think it's a very important part of what Kentucky government is doing to try and improve relationships between law enforcement and the members of the community. As someone who's been practicing criminal defense for 26 years, I share a lot of the same concerns that Damon articulated so well. The fact is, we're here, I know as a representative of the NAACP and Damon as a representative of DPA, we're here trying to bring the community's voice into this process and to make the search warrant process a lot more transparent to many of the communities that are affected by what is the most intrusive method of a government intervention in a person's life. So there are a lot of things that I'd like to see happen in this process, but one thing I am happy about is the diverse number of voices and ideologies that are part of this process. It's important that every voice be heard, that we come up with recommendations that are actually substantive, and that we do something good for the Commonwealth. Damon knows I've been at this for a long time, and we've been battling in the trenches on the defense side. I've had the privilege of working as a district defender, a division chief, and training lawyers in this process. And I've had the privilege to practice in both the state and federal courts. So I've addressed the issues of search warrants many, many times over the years. And honestly, I'm very proud and happy to be part of this. So I thank everyone for the invitation.
Well, Mr. McGee, we're very proud to have you as part of this team. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I guess I'll go with Representative Massey next. If he's still with the front phone. Representative Massey, I see you're on mute, perhaps, so.
I'm here. I can just tell you that I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm Ed Massey from the 66th District in northern Kentucky, and look forward to working with everyone.
So, Chairman Westerfield.
Good afternoon. I appreciate being included in the group. Looking forward to the work ahead. Eager to see what sort of feedback everyone shares. We've obviously got a lot of folks around the table, around the horn here, who have been in the criminal justice world for a lot longer than I've been in there, and a lot longer than a lot of the folks throughout the rest of the General Assembly, and that we talk to on a day-to-day basis when we're discussing public policy. And got a lot of good experts and brilliant minds in the group, and I'm eager to see what they say. I'm interested to see if there's discussions or implementation issues regarding Senate Bill 4. Obviously, I'm a big fan and supporter of President Stiver's very solid update to warrant execution, no-knock warrant execution, I should say, and the service and use of those. And I think in a really careful and wise way. Others have mentioned the use of technology. I think that's wise. I was still a prosecutor. I thankfully had the opportunity to actually serve as a prosecutor before I came to the state Senate, and e-warrants came online sort of limping at the beginning and early stages, but it was there. And I'm eager to see what sort of opportunities there are for additional investment and use of technology to make things more efficient and simpler. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to seeing what the discussion and where it takes us over the next several months. And obviously, as a member of the legislature, along with Chairman Massey, the two of us are in regular contact about things before not just the joint interim judiciary committees, but obviously the rest of the General Assembly. And we'll be looking to see if there are any changes we should explore or funding we should send as we draft yet another budget come January of 22. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I don't think I've missed anyone. Well, thanks to everybody for those introductions and sort of outlining some of the things that you hope to see in the midst of this process. I will say that I appreciate your remarks, and one of the things that I hope is that we create these subcommittees, if you will, that there will be an opportunity for whether it be the security, reading, or the serving of the warrant itself, that there will be presentations that will be out of whole cloth developed by those subcommittees. And so you've given us some great thoughts about perhaps depending on what subcommittee you're part of, bringing in some of those additional voices. Mr. McGee, to your point about transparency, one of the reasons that we've got the capability of Zoom and virtual abilities and allowing the public to be a part of this process and others, if they want to come and take a seat in this room, is to that point. Because we want this to be as transparent as possible. Just talk about education and funding, how it's important for people to understand the work process. That's why we're here starting this conversation today, and what I hope will be something that is fruitful and productive that comes out these next 7 months. So thanks to everyone again for outlining some of the things that we hope to see in the course of this process. At this time, I mentioned the fact that we're going to have presentations. Today, we're going to have Professor Milligan from the University of Maryland School of Law give us a brief history on the history of the warrants lists of the system, and James Otis and the right to be secure. As I noted, he is a professor of law at the University of Louisville. He teaches jurisprudence and a range of public law offerings, including criminal law, criminal procedure, and constitutional law. He has previously been named Professor of the Year and the winner of various other awards for legal scholarship. In 2019, the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights appointed him to the advisory board of Kentucky, a 4-year term running through 2023. A long-standing commissioner of the state public defense system, Professor Milligan took lead for teaching in 2014 and 15, served as a public defender. He lived with his wife and 2 sons in Louisville, Kentucky. At the moment, we have Professor Milligan come to the podium to give his presentation. But I want to circle back and make sure that anybody that has, I believe the committee assignment and the dates that we give those bodies, that would be very helpful as well would be very helpful. Take a brief moment on that front. Anybody need, I guess I should say, if anybody needs water or coffees before you're around, Professor Milligan, the board. All right, Professor Milligan, the stage is yours. Thank you, sir.
General Cameron, thank you. Great to see you, man. It's an honor to speak to this distinguished task force. I'm not going to speak long. I'm afraid some presentation is some person collection, nothing of person collection, but it comes to brief, straightforward. But I want to make one large, and that is that I see the work that is being part of a long and vital tradition, keeping the people confident against unreasonable searches and seizures. Confident against seizures. And somebody may say, "Oh, that's nice. What you talking about value?" Well, the value is right in front of us. Right in front of us in the text amendment and the text of section 10 of the Constitution. Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their person's houses, papers, and effects. Shall not be violated. Section 10. The people shall be secure in the person's houses, papers, and possessions. The history of that clause, be secure, William John, the author of the Massachusetts Declaration of Rights in 1780. 7 years before 49 was ratified, for the country. And in Article 14, Adams wrote, every subject has a right to be secure from all unreasonable search and seizures of persons, houses, papers, and all his possessions. Adams was 45. John Adams was in a very important place 19 years earlier. He was 26. Around 45 drafts, Article 14 gives us this template and interprets for the Fourth Amendment and Section 10 of the Constitution. So a skeptic may say, well, secure, what's secure? Century, sympathetic, moment in time, a tradition, we're more sensitive to psychological effects that action have on people. And so maybe they meant something in the 18th century more about spared. They didn't mean really conflict, but tranquil. If you look at the dictionaries of the day, you see that it actually did have this psychological, aggressive psychological force to it. Oxford English Dictionary defines secure as to be free from fear or to be confident. Between secure and free from fear, even way back in the 18th century, had this psychological force to it, this tranquility to it, this confidence. Secure, I believe, is a central value when it comes to considering the warrants, and more generally when it comes to discussion about search and seizure. So when we plug this idea of tranquility and confidence back into the text, then it's the right of people to be confident. Now, this isn't just an idea. Just write it out. You can read, but it's actually formed the trajectory of the law of search and seizure over the last 5 or 6 years. I challenge you to find one reform history of the law of search and seizure that wasn't impacted by the idea of confidence that you must be safe and unreasonable search. Or the Commonwealth, the 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, there was a threshold of security in unreasonable search and seizures. You can defend your property with force. You can bring a trespass cause of action against a state. Law enforcement was weak and decentralized. Those 3 things and a couple of others, as a package, give you confidence, they give you tranquility in the flow. Something interesting happened, which eroded that security. In the late 1400s, and it got worse throughout the early 1600s, and that was the creation of the Star Chamber. Star Chamber was the King's Special Court. The King's Special Court didn't recognize the right to refuse an entry from that made people less secure. Why? Well, because the crown has to conduct an unreasonable search and seizure, we just follow the police Star Chamber. Parliament in 1641 abolished the Star Chamber. And so what you find there is the right to be confident was restored by the abolition of the Star Chamber. So that's one episode. Another episode was the creation of general warrants. There's this sort of golden moment between 1641 when the Star Chamber was abolished, and then the creation of the business general warrants. 1660. What is a general warrant? A general warrant gives permission to a state actor to conduct a search or seizure when they think a certain crime has occurred. This can be limited to enumerated crimes, treason, heresy, and customs violation. The writs of assistance made people less secure because the state actors were wanting to run their probable cause through the judge. It wasn't backed up by no affirmation. It's applied in Britain, it's applied in colonies, and it didn't render us insecure in the colonies until the 1750s. So from 1660, the first British system, all the way through 1750, they applied in the colonies, but they didn't leave us insecure as a practical matter. They didn't leave us insecure as a practical matter because it was the colonists that were tasked with enforcing it. The colonists also served on the jurors as jurors. In addition, taxes 135. So when they do for enterprise, so that package is a practical, relatively secure. 1750 taxes go up, enforcement shifts to the governor, who's entity of the crown, and the execution of his assistants is amplified. Colonists are furious. They're less secure against these unreasonable procedures. 1760, King George II dies, and the writs of assistance provide 6 months after the crown dies, Parliament needs to reenact this. So they see our moment. This is the moment where they're going to push back against the idea of writs of assistance. And that moment was occupied by James Otis was the equivalent of the two in 1760. He wasn't the attorney general of the province of Massachusetts for very long because his father was passed away for a promise position of chief justice. So Otis resigns his position, then decides to turn the table in Massachusetts, and he represents 50 merchants who were protesting this assistance. This assistance should not be restored, that they violated the timeless rights of British subjects and the colonists. And the case is called Paxton's case. 1761. This is one of the important moments in this insurgency. 1761. Otis delivers his famous summation. In the audience is a 26-year-old named John Adams. Young lawyer Otis. Otis proclaims, a man's house is his castle. While he's quiet, he is as secure in his house as his castle. The writs, it should be declared legal, we totally annihilate this privilege. That's for transcription. As continues for Otis. It's claiming the writs are the worst instrument of arbitrary power, which is destructive of English liberty and the fundamental principles of law that ever was found in the law book. And then one of the only put there, I hear this all the time. The liberty of every man is not, and that's it, every petty officer. Otis, that's 1761. Otis lost the place. The right was restored. In 1761, 1776, Walt Adams later stated that Otis's speech in Paxton's case marked the first scene of the first act of opposition to the arbitrary claims of Great Britain. The child independence within and there born for every man of an immense crowded audience appeared to me to go away as I did, ready to take arms against British citizens. In 1780, Adams drafts of the 14th Massachusetts Declaration that Massey, exclusively. It's sort of two episodes where you can very clearly see that reinstilling confidence of the people against unreasonable procedures is what they want. The law. We have it in the abolition of starching group. We have it also with the abolition of John Warrants. So if you go back to the text of the Fourth Amendment, you got two clauses in the Fourth Amendment. You've got that clause I read about the right to be secure. But there's a second clause. No warrants shall issue but upon probable cause supported by other affirmation, particularly described in the place of the search and the person or things to be seized. That's the one. It's the clause that call it reasonable disclose by person votes. And what that second clause, I think, is the first time in the United States that we are getting force for the right to be secure. That brings a statute. No warrant shall issue, but right there, by banning general warrants in the United States, they are absolutely filling the right to secure houses. One example, there's countless examples, but one example that I do want to mention before I stop on is the rise of the exclusionary rule. We didn't have the exclusionary rule. We didn't have the exclusionary rule in the federal system until 1914, and there were just a couple states that introduced the exclusionary rule. So where did it come from? Did we just start to become activists who do things in a closet because they achieve ends that we prefer? Some people say that. Some people say it's sort of an extra constitutional provision. I disagree. I
necessity that we're going to keep the people confident. So what precipitated, what changed in 1791, ratified in the late 19th century and early 20th century? Exclusionary rule is created. Institutional policing. So it wasn't until the late 1830s that we had our first 24-hour institutionalized police department. Hierarchies, career officers, some aggressive crime. Law enforcement became a career for the first time and one that paid better than average wages. Or police were able to utilize their economic influence to secure buildings, illegal arrest. As a result, what happened? Procedures, the courts occupied that space by creating a rule for the time I believe to secure. What it did is it deterred things out. Therefore, there's many other examples of post-ratification centers. The expansively search surveillance. Applying the Fourth Amendment to administration, but also schools, hospitals. That's another instance. This clause, and I think this has to. This is one moment. On the creation. People, modern day language of community.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate providing commentary on what the amendment is, its origins, and if anybody has any questions for Professor Morgan, or any thoughts or anything that you want to share in response to what the said. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Well, and so it's my intent over the next 7 months is to have these sorts of presentations, and they will largely be dictated by the effort subcommittee and anything that you think should be brought to the group for conversation or discussion point that at this time we can look for. I did have a note that asked me that thank you all for getting your dates and time and information provided to us. The responses have been tallied by the team, and I'm going to entertain a motion that the task force adopt a regular meeting schedule for the remainder of the year, consisting of the following dates. At all times will be at 1 p.m. June 21, Richmond, Kentucky at BKU. July 22nd, Louisville, Fair and Expo Center. August 11th, Frankfort, Kentucky, Capital Center East. September 14th, Bowling Green, Western Kentucky University. October 11th, Somerset Center for Rural Development. November 15th, Frankfort, Capital Center East. December 19th, Frankfort, Capital Center East. I'm sorry, December 9th. Yeah, December 9th. I'm sorry. And I have does everybody need those dates again? Yeah. Yes. I'll do June 21, Richmond, Kentucky, and KU. July 27th, Louisville, Kentucky, Fair and Expo Center. August 11th, Frankfort, Capital Center East. September 14th, Bowling Green, WKU. October 11th, Somerset, Center for Rural Development. On November 15th, Frankfurt, here at Capital East. And then December 9th, Frankfurt, Capital East.
I make the motion that we accept those dates.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. So we've got our meeting schedule established. I'll make sure if you would like or if somebody on the team will disseminate that information to you all, which is well write it down, but we'll make sure that there's a copy as well for everyone to have for their records. Okay. Let's see here.
They're just cracking.
Okay, all right. Well, one other, okay, so I'll make one other aside here. I think over the course of the 7 meetings, and we'll talk about this a little bit, but how I envision this, and this is subject of conversation and discussion, but those last 2 meetings, November 15th and December 9th, what my hope is, and I hope you all would agree with this, again, this is for one consensus, is that we would have sort of a set of recommendations, if you will. If we're going to have recommendations, I would like, again, to be most efficient with our time, that we start sort of crafting recommendations within the 15th and sort of December 9th period. So that would be the last 2 meetings, if you will. Again, things that's something to tell you about it, what happen, but I would welcome trying to get one in that window. That way, if we have anything that would be helpful, but Chairman Massey, the Chairman Industrial, or the legislature generally, to have that information at our disposal, so that that can be pushed out, and not only to our legislature, but across that's just the thought that I have. Again, if you all have any different opinion on that, that's okay as well. That kind of stuff. Okay. Got the committee assignments here. I'm going to read them out. And again, we will push this information so that everyone has it for the rest of the month. Ms. Bentley, you will be on the serving committee. Lieutenant Bogard on the serving committee. Commissioner Barnett, serving. Judge Cutoff, reviewing. Judge Cunningham, securing. Mayor Gregory, securing. Commissioner Gillett, securing. Representative Massey, reviewing. Mr. McGee, securing. Chief Monroe, reviewing. Nicholson, securing. Mr. Preston, reviewing. Mr. Ross, reviewing. Mr. Sanders, reviewing. Sheriff Schroer, securing. Captain Thomas, serving. Chairman Westerfield, serving. And Dr. Wright, serving. Did everybody get their committee assignment? All right.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anyone on security that's not non-law enforcement? What are your law? Judge, you know your law. Not law enforcement only, but law and law enforcement.
Mark, just Nicholson, don't see
You run the whole agency. You know my question.
Mr. McGee wants to do. No.
Law?
Oh, you mean?
Yeah, none.
Non.
None.
So not defense, just non-legal. So you telling Mayor Gregory can ask?
I don't know. That's it. Let's ask her the question.
He was former Kentucky State Police.
No, that's all.
Then no. All those are law. You have what those changed or?
Yeah, I want to be on the security side. I think there needs to be someone not non-law related that there's any movement on that whatsoever.
Ms. Bentley has been moved to security.
Thank you. That was simple.
General Cameron, will you please repeat Mr. Wright's committee assignment?
We do that. Serving. General, we've got something as far as writing out different committee assignments. I'll be happy. I'm honestly here and I'll be happy to change the thing.
Thank you.
To go to serving. All right, that sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay, so Sheriff Schroer is now on serving. Anyone else want to change or make a recommendation on that front? Okay. Any comments or questions about the subcommittee itself?
Okay. I have a question. This goes to both the committee and the task force as a whole. Can you describe how you envision decision making, recommendation, deciding process? Yeah, I'm obviously concerned about the democratic process. So I'm wondering how will we go about deciding what recommendation?
Well, I think it's going to be important for the subcommittee to sort of come out with the process for how you all want to decide on the recommendations that you're going to present to the entire group. And then ultimately, we can have more conversation. But generally, I think that we could just do it by it, unless there's some strong opinion that that's not the way to do it. So that would be sort of how I envision it. Again, it would be up to conversation if you all see it better model and just perhaps come to some good decision.
I hope we can have a conversation on that as we go out. I think, I guess the alternative, the other direction would be consensus, which would, if a vote is 7-4 on something, I don't know if that should be a recommendation of the group. If there are 4 members of this task force reject, I think go for direction about that. We don't know how the conversation goes. I see this as maybe not a little conversation. I appreciate it, of course.
Anybody else can talk to it?
It was envisioned that the stuff, some of the people this summer, the breakout, as opposed to coming up with a separate thing.
I think that's the way that we would do it. Perhaps, and again, this is all very, breaking on this part of the conversation, but maybe the first part of our meeting would be a presentation, and then Subsequently, we have the different subcommittees for second sessions.
Some questions, Judge. In June, we're planning to come up with a presentation in June. We're currently looking to do a approach that involves comparative analysis, personal to run in other jurisdictions. We do have a federal agency that's due to be part of that presentation. We're also working with the states. We think in Kentucky there are a lot of things to do really well. And one of the ways to learn that is to find out what others do. So I think in June we're trying, although it's not yet finalized, we're going to try to have that comparative analysis done with individuals from other jurisdictions. And also part of the team, we hope that subcommittees we can break out and with assistance from staff within the office and planning for what they would like to see during their day of responsibility. So if that's July, August, and September, the subcommittees can break out. We would envision that the subcommittees certainly brainstorm and say we would love to see this group that group look at. And the securing subcommittee wants to hear about what are the tactics or what's the investigatory steps that need to take place beforehand. Then maybe DOCJT has some experts that will present to the group on what is your investigation into what we do. But if any image is cut off, maybe reviewing process. You all have some recommendations that go through that. During the survey part, Commissioner, I know AFP has SRP, those folks might be willing to present for another age. So we're going to help you. We love the subject brainstorm. We'll take that feedback and we'll go out and come across the table. So during that subcommittee day of responsibility on usage, we'll have the right people in the room together on next fall here. Any other comments or questions? Okay, this time, since we concluded most of the business, we'll have some public comments if there are any public comments anyone would like to make. And I'm directing commenters to the chair. What about anybody online? Okay. Anybody have anything else that they want to bring to the body that we have for this day?
Just a quick question. If the subcommittees decide to have a meeting outside of the scheduled date, is there a requirement for the public to know about those meetings?
All right. Well, seeing that there's no public comments, we can bring it to the end of our first session. Again, this is really supposed to be introductory. So just want to make sure we got everybody together, make sure we got everybody this committee time. And then we can proceed from there. If there's no other business, ask for a motion to adjourn. So moved. All right. All right. Thank you all very much.